A new poll from YouGov has put Labour on a 6-year low. Just 20% would vote for Labour, while Reform is leading with 28%. The Tories are on 17%, the Lib Dems on 16%, and the Green Party with 11%. According to the Times and Sky, this would give Labour their worst result since 2019. But I would go further than saying this would be the worst result since 2019, because Jeremy Corbyn still managed to get 32% of the vote. Starmer has consistently polled below 30 for almost a year. It's only because of our broken electoral system that gave Corbyn so few seats and Starmer so much. But in terms of vote share, he is way below 2019. Now, I've heard people argue that the new Corbyn Sultana party is splitting the vote and gifting the next election to Reform, but Starmer is doing that all by himself. Some polling has had Labour as low as 18% and Reform as high as 34%. This is without including the New Left Party. Plus, Labour are not remotely left-wing, so it's not splitting the vote. This is Labour's response to Farage, saying he would work with the Taliban to deport refugees. Number 10 says Keir Starmer is also open to striking returns deals with Afghanistan and Eritrea after Nigel Farage said Reform would. This is what handing the keys to Reform looks like. Copying their policies and further legitimising them. Starmer is hell-bent on chasing voters who despise him. Those who vote Reform will never vote Labour, given the fact that most of them have come from the Tories. Then why would they? Labour are losing most of their votes to the left, such as the Lib Dems and the Greens, and they will leave for the new Corbyn Sultana party. So why won't Labour move left to get them back? It's because the Labour Party's primary goal is to destroy left-wing politics. Winning elections is secondary. We saw that when Corbyn was leader. You know the whole story with the Labour right. They preferred Johnson to him. The only option Labour have is to move left, although I argue it's just too late. Starmer isn't disliked, he is hated by both the left and right. He is untrustworthy, a serial liar. Why would people return to Labour if there are already left-wing alternatives? There's also the fact that this government are active participants in a genocide. Labour could move sharply to the left and they still won't have my vote. I will never vote for that wretched party again, and I'm going to bet so many people will feel the same. But it's completely self-inflicted. They didn't need to do this, but they have. A series of polls conducted by Novara Media showed that Reform voters preferred Jeremy Corbyn to Keir Starmer. Conventional wisdom would tell you that's impossible. Why would more right-wing voters prefer a politician who is to the left of Starmer? But that is pundit brain thinking. Most people don't think in terms of left and right. It's why the pundits got it wrong in 2017. It was supposed to be Labour's worst ever defeat, but during the election, Corbyn climbed 20% in the polls in just 6 weeks. The manifesto, despite being to the left of previous ones, made sense to the public. The economic policies of the left are popular among voters. But it's not just policies. Going back to the Novara polls, people respect honesty above many things. Keir Starmer is a compulsory liar. Who respects that? No one. Yet someone who you may disagree with, but you know that's their position because they truly believe in it, garners much more respect. I would actually argue that votes can be won that way. I would argue that some Reform voters who absolutely disagree with Corbyn's liberal views on immigration will be more palatable to them as long as other popular policies are offered too, over Starmer, who capitulates and plays politics. I mean, you can find clips of Starmer saying that we should defend freedom of movement, and yet not too long ago, he was literally quoting Enoch Powell. He comes across as a snake, and people see that. The way Starmer has acted as Labour leader is in the way in which, let's say, Nigel Farage decided to become really pro-immigration in order to reach the other side. He wants to make the party more electable. That would be insane, because existing Reform voters and supporters would abandon Reform. And for progressive voters, I mean, they wouldn't vote for Farage anyway. They know how anti-immigration Farage has been his entire life. So why would people vote for him if he suddenly became liberal? That would be a surefire way of Reform not winning. Yet that is exactly how the Labour Party has campaigned for decades. Blairites and their pundit friends have said for so long, especially in the Corbyn era, that you need to compromise, you need Tory voters, you can't be too left-wing. Yet the right-wing have never had to play that game. They have just moved more and more right-wing. You need to compromise to win a majority for sure, but you've got to appeal to your base first. You need the fundamentals, which Labour have completely abandoned. They cannot stop Reform. They don't have the policies, they don't have the comms, and Starmer certainly doesn't have the charisma. A new left movement is essential to stopping reform. Labour are incapable, so the Greens and the New Left Party working together can defeat the right and the far right. Even if reform still wins the next election, the left-wing bloc will actually oppose the policies of reform, whereas Labour will continue to copy them. It's actually imperative that the Labour Party dies, so the left can finally take over. Remember that we have live shows 3 times per week, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m, discussing the latest political stories. We are trying to go full-time and grow this channel. You can support us by going to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There you can support us monthly via Patreon, or there is another link to a one-off donation. Alternatively, you can become a YouTube member for just 99p. Remember to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.